गुड मॉर्निंग डॉक्टर शर्मा। सर आपको अनम्यूट करना होगा सर। आप
आवाज आ रही है आपको?
हाँ जी सर आ गई।
जी,
गुड
गुड
मॉर्निंग
मॉर्निंग
डॉक्टर
सर।
साहब। जी कैसे हैं
जी,
सर?
बस सर बढ़िया। आप ठीक हैं?
हाँ जी सर।
अच्छा,
सर
स्क्रीन को शेयर कर सकते हैं सर अभी
हाँ
या?
बिल्कुल सर बिल्कुल या यू
ठीक।
कैन ट्राई इट वंस नाउ सर।
होस्ट आप ही हैं ना सर अभी?
हाँ होस्ट मैं हूँ सर, यू आर ऑल्सो
हाँ
को
एक
होस्ट सर।
हाँ एक बार सर, एक बार डिसेबल करिएगा।
ओके।
अ,
हर्ष बेटा, जैसा सर ने कहा है आप डिसेबल करो एक बार अपने एंड से।
सर आप एनएस को को होस्ट बना दीजिए।
मैं फिर से करता हूँ सर, वो एक बार करके देखिए सर।
आपको दिख रही है स्क्रीन?
अभी नहीं दिखिए सर, अभी वेट कर लेते हैं, कई बार कुछ
ओके।
थोड़ा सा लैग होता है।
अच्छा अच्छा। एक बार बताइएगा अगर नहीं दिख रही है तो।
हाँ अभी नहीं दिखिए, आप एक बार फिर से ट्राई कीजिए सर।
जी। आई थिंक
अभी
अब दिख रही होगी।
हाँ हाँ अभी आनी शुरू हुई सर। हाँ आ गई
जी,
सर, आ गई जी।
तो शुरू करें सर?
आई थिंक वी कैन वेट लाइक 2 more minutes ओनली।
फाइन फाइन, कोई इशू नहीं। ये प्रोफेसर मिश्रा का, जो हमारे डायरेक्टर हैं इनमास के, इनका
हाँ
हो चुका है लेक्चर?
हाँ जी, ये इनमास से डॉक्टर शुभ्रा चतुर्वेदी मैडम का हो चुका, उनके प्लेस में।
अच्छा, आई थिंक अच्छा उनके प्लेस पे उनका शुभ्रा चतुर्वेदी का हुआ था।
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ। शी हैज
ओके
गिवन
सर।
ए टॉक या।
और पाठक सर हैं क्या सर अभी कनेक्टेड?
पाठक सर अभी मीटिंग में कनेक्टेड नहीं है अभी, कल तो थे। अभी आज
अच्छा
देखते
अच्छा।
हैं अगर हाँ कनेक्ट
जी
हो
जी।
पाए। इट
एक्चुअली
ऑल
मेरे वो
डिपेंड्स ऑन हिज
सुपरवाइजर,
टाइम शेड्यूल।
जी जी, मेरे पीएचडी के सुपरवाइजर रहे हैं वो।
ओके ग्रेट ग्रेट। मैं एक बार
आप सुन पा रहे हैं सर मुझे?
हाँ जी मैं सुन पा रहा हूँ सर आपको। एक बार
जी जी।
पाठक साहब से पूछ लेते हैं इफ ही विल बी अवेलेबल, लाइक
हाँ प्लीज सर, एक
ही
बार
वुड लाइक टू
पूछ
जॉइन
लीजिए।
या।
हाँ मैं रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ उनसे, एक बार कर लेते हैं अगर ज्वाइन तो।
जी जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
जी।
Avantika, I think we should start. We have
Okay,
waited
sir.
for like 5 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Hmm.
A very warm good morning to everyone present over here. I, Avantika Gupta, welcome you all to day 4, session 10 of Atal FDP on drug engineering. As we commence our day, I invite Dr. Saurabh Dhaiya, coordinator Atal FDP, to give us all a brief about today's journey, along with introduction of our speaker, Dr. Navneet Sharma, for this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Avantika. Good morning, all present here in the 4th day of AICTE Atal Faculty Development Program on Drug Engineering being held online at DIPSAR, Dipsaru. I thank all the participants for taking keen interest in all the sessions so far, and particularly in day 3, where we talked about engineered proteins. Then we talked about national education policy and also about the pharmacopoeias, the monograph development, and the various kind of essays and the activities being carried out at IPC. Today is going to be another fascinating day as far as our educational journey and learning is concerned. Since today we have one of the most bright young scientists with us, Dr. Navneet Sharma. He is going to give the opening lecture to us today on pharma nanotechnology in the defense sector. So I welcome you all. And with this, I shall also be briefing the participants and all guests available here about Dr. Navneet Sharma. Harsh, can you share the slide? So this is the scientific session 10, and this is a brief about Dr. Navneet Sharma. However, this one slide is not sufficient enough. Still, we have tried our best to encapsulate the things in one slide. And I would like to mainly brief the audience, the participants, the guests available here about Dr. Navneet Sharma's research work. With DRDO, Dr. Navneet Sharma developed a novel technique for the radiological decontamination of the skin using novel complexing agents, which are further incorporated inside a known woven fabric and developed as skin decontamination wipe. The technology was transferred to the industry, and the product is marketed under the trade name of Remocon. Currently, the Remocon is used by armed forces and paramilitary forces, along with the national state level disaster relief forces. He developed novel drug delivery systems and also devised and applied pharmacoscintigraphic procedures for its preclinical evaluation in various experimental models of the disease. In collaboration with Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences INMAS DRDO, he had developed the dermal formulations for the broad spectrum decontamination and healing of radiation-induced wounds. He has also 2 patents in his name. Both the formulations were under the clinical evaluations according to the norms of the Drugs Controller General of India guidelines. Since last few years, his work exclusively has been focused on the chemical, biological, and radiological and nuclear defense. Currently, he is working with IIT. We welcome you here, sir, and thank you so much for sharing this platform and sharing your delivery of this particular lecture, where you have been, you will be sharing your nanotechnological work, which you are doing for the benefit of the defense sector. And also, I would fail in my duty if I would not elaborate here that we are proud that Dr. Navneet Sharma is also a research student of our very own Professor D.P. Pathak sir. And I welcome Professor D.P. Pathak sir also here as a dignitary. He is also available in the meeting. We welcome you, sir.
So
Over to you, Dr. Navneet Sharma.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Daya. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Daya, and thanks for the kind words. So now I just going to start my presentation without taking much of your time. So when I had joined the Defense Research and Development Organization in the far back 2013, so one questions comes in the most of my colleagues, my friends, and as well as few faculties at my institute. That time I was doing my M Pharma from JSS Mysuru, Karnataka. So during that time when I had joined the DRDO after completing my masters for my PhD, so that time they think that what the work a pharmaceutical person or person from a life science background is going to perform there with the collaboration of DRDO, because when it comes about the defense forces or when it comes about the R&D organizations which are connected with the defense forces, so basic thing which comes in one's mind is that it basically connects with the missiles, the hard weaponry systems, and lot of the WMDs and other things. So the most important thing which I want to share with you is that like there is a lot of origin of this pharmaceutical sector in each and every aspect of the sciences. As far as the defense sciences are concerned, or the protection with respect to the warfare agents are concerned, we are having a lot of scope in it. And in the Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences, not only with INMAS, there is a life science cluster within the DRDO. And this life science cluster is including about 6 to 7 labs, and they all labs are working in the field of promoting the performance and protecting the warriors in the field. So coming on the aspects of pharmaceutical sciences with respect to the services, with respect to serving the defense forces. So as we know that there are a lot of the theater of operations in which day and night, 24/7, the defense forces, the men in the boots are protecting us. So these different theaters they are protecting us in the blues, in the high, humid and hot conditions of the Thar with an temperature of 45 to 46 degrees centigrade, and as well as in the Siachen Glacier where the temperature sometimes lead to the minus 40 degrees centigrade. So all of these theater of operations, continuously they are working there. So it also inversely affect on their physiology, on their health system. So in the Defense Research and Development Organization, they are focusing to strengthen the soldiers and the defense forces with respect to the pharmaceuticals, with respect to the nutraceuticals, with respect to their rations and other things, to protect them or to strengthen them. So what are the challenges nowadays are facing by the defense forces and the securities of the country? So if you heard about a famous person from the China, he's a philosopher of the China. His name was Sun Tzu, and he postulated that the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. It was wrote by Sun Tzu in his book, The Art of the War. Here I am speaking about the 7th generation warfare. So what is the 7th generation warfare? 7th generation warfare is totally automated one, which includes the use of the unmanned air vehicles, commonly known as drones, the military communication systems, which was struck by the enemies, their power grid, their water utilities with advanced electronic warfare systems and cyber weapons, or even localized electromagnetic pulse and weapons. So these kind of psycho warfare agents, hybrid warfare agents comes in the 7th generation of warfare. And most importantly, the thing is that the use of the CBRN agents. So this CBRN is something very new with the life science pupils. What is all about? So CBRN stands for the hazardous chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear contaminants. These kind of contaminants, these kind of agents can be used by the Rouge nations to stop the supplies of a country or to put in the trouble. When we talk about the 7th generation warfare, so the most recently this kind of aspect of the 7th generation warfare was seen in case of the conflict of the Iranian military hackers with the Yemen. During 31st March of 2015, Iranian military hackers shut down the power grid to 44 of the 81 provinces in Turkey in relation after Turkey's President Erdogan made a statement supporting the Saudi bombings of the Houthi rebels in Yemen. So here you can see that recently the Russian leader Vladimir Putin is also mentioned in one of the talk with respect to the NATO and the US war over Ukraine. He justified the things about the future warfare. He mentioned in his one of the book that is of future warfare that after the US victory in Iraq against the Saddam Hussein, any country would be stupid to fight against the Americans with the 3-generation warfare technique. And it includes the warfare with respect to the hybrid, which also includes the weapons of mass destruction, including the hazardous CBRN agents. So in coming slides, I'm going to discuss you with about these hazardous CBRN agents and other aspects and other areas which can be explored with the help of the R&D organizations such as DRDO, in which the life science people, the persons involved in pharmaceutical sciences or biotechnology can explore their part, and they can help us. They can help the defense forces with their skills. So coming on the challenges, what are the challenges? If you heard about after the World War II, there is very less incidences are occurred, and as far as the Indian scenario is concerned, after the 99 Kargil war, there is very
Dr.
less
Sharma,
incidents
excuse
occur where involve the direct involvement of the two forces with
Dr.
respect to the.
Sharma
Yes, sir.
Sir, we are unable to see the slides. Actually, it seems that you have to share them once again.
Okay, fine, sir.
Yeah, please, sir.
I think it's already share. I'm sharing it. Share. Is it visible now?
Yes, now it is visible, sir.
Okay. So it is completely visible.
Yeah, it
so
is.
Shall I start
visible.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, sir.
Okay. So coming on the challenges, what are the challenges are facing by the defense forces nowadays, or we can say that the civilian sector? The major challenges is the use of the CBRN agents, that is hazardous chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear contaminants. These agents are after the 99 war of the Kargil war. It was observed that there are very less incidences are there where the two forces are fighting each other in a direct fight. It involves the guerrilla warfare, that is a small covert operations, and it also includes the use of the hazardous agents. Recently, you had seen the incidents of the Iraq. That is, there was a oil tanker. Oil tanker in which the liquid chlorine was contained, and that particular oil tanker was moving from the Baghdad to its nearby place, that is Ghouta. That particular tanker was moving, and this militia, which was working as a militant group in the Iraq, they had dropped an explosive device over that tanker, and the localized area is contaminated with the chlorine. A recent attack is seen in case of the brother of Kim Jong Nam. He was the brother of Kim Jong Un, who was the famous dictator of the North Korea, and he had used a nerve agent that is known as Agent VX, and he used that particular nerve agent at the Malaysia airport, and the victim was there at the airport, and he used that particular contaminant, that is Agent VX, and particularly that victim get exposed of this particular contaminant, and after the 7 days he was dead. So these kind of agents, like nerve agent or blister agents, can, when they used in a public place without disturbing the supplies and other things, and without involving in a direct warfare, so they can cause a lot of catastrophe and lot of the exposure to the individual with respect to these hazard agent. It also includes the use of the nuclear weapon. After the 1942 use of the Fat Boy and Little Baby at the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, after that not a big incident was occurred which involves the use of the nuclear weapon. But what about the dirty bomb? When we talk about a dirty bomb, it simply includes the explosive materials such as TNT, and along with some radioactive contaminant which are having their long half-life, such as strontium 90 or cesium 137. And it is just like a tiffin bomb. When it explodes at a localized area, such as a close contained area, so it will cause the blast injuries. Along with the blast injuries, the wounds which are created is also contaminated by the hazardous radiological contaminant, and they can affect the victims directly. So these are kind of the unnormal challenges with respect to the CBRN agents are there with respect to the defense forces and civilian forces, and we have to keep us strengthened with respect to that. And as a pharmacy expert, as a person who are involved in the biotechnology, pharmaceutical sciences, we can work a lot in this field, and we can explore a lot in this field of the protection against the CBRN agents. So now comes about the core areas of the biological sciences or the core areas of the life sciences, which we can which are involved in strengthening the soldiers, strengthening the armed forces, and these areas includes the man and machine interface. Suppose a condition in which a organ of a person is organ of a soldier or any other persons who are involved in the security forces are get amputated. So in that case, there is the requirement, and there are still existing several other kind of electronic organs, or we can say that the just like the Jaipur food electronic organs are available, which can be connected with the human being, and it cannot hamper their health effect, and it can also strengthen the, it can, even though it cannot replace the amputated part of the human, but it can strengthen the organs, use of these organs and other things. It also includes the development of the life support products and systems such as food and nutraceuticals, clothing, protective equipment, and shelter. When we talk about the clothing, so think about just think about a smart clothing, that is smart fabric, which is capable to eat, or the eatable textile. For an example, if the defense forces are involved in an interior region or a Naxalite area where the CRPF and other forces are involved in the directly warfare with the Naxalite pupils, and in the condition of the continuous war with them, and there is a scarcity of the food and other thing. So it is possible to develop the clothings or the eatable textile which they can directly eat. They are wearing a cloth, they can tear up the part from the cloth and they can eat it. So it will provide the nutrition and the long-lived survivability to the troops who are working in the field. So it comes under the eatable clothing. It also includes the use of the cutleries such as the bowls, the plates, and the spoons, which are using by the defense forces. They are also eatable one. Suppose if in the scarcity of the food, they can eat that cutlery, and subsequently they will get the nutrition and other kind of nutritions and minerals by eating all these cutleries during the war condition or the food scarcity scenarios, when there is the involvement of the day and night war with the enemies and the terrorist organizations. But in case of the biological science, we can explore the area of the health monitoring, advanced health monitoring system, ambulatory systems, stress management systems like the psychosocial stress by which the soldiers are coming off. So these kind of stress management can be managed by the yogas, cognitive neurocognitive devices and other things. So these kind of, we can, as a life science expert, we can help them in development of these kind of devices. It also includes the management of the combat casualty wounds, such as the stab wounds and the bullet wounds, which are most common during the war scenarios. So the development of the smart wound sealants or the hemostasis systems. So these all are the areas which we can further explore when we work with the defense forces or we are involved in the biological sciences or life sciences. So these are the few areas which I had choose, and particularly in these particular areas, the DRDO and the R&D organizations which are directly involved with the defense forces are these few areas which I had chosen, and I am going to discuss these areas with you. So the most interesting in this area is the use of the stem cells and the gene therapy. Think about the Universal Soldier. If you heard about a movie which was aired by the Hollywood in the late 90s, and the name of that movie was Universal Soldier. In that movie, a famous character was there, and that particular soldier was capable to fight in any situation, and the self-healing capacities are there, or we can say that it is a customized soldier. So think about the customized traits in the babies itself, and these customized traits when the soldier grows in all. So these customized traits are seen, such as he or she is having a strengthened body, capable to having the high defense immune system, capable to cope all the advanced diseases and other things. So these kind of, with the help of the stem cells and gene therapy, it is possible in the future, in the coming future after 50 to 60 years, that we are capable to develop the smart customized babies with respect to the soldiers and defense forces. It also include the use of the development of the tissue banks and the other kind of the transplantation banks, which also includes, in case of the scenarios, if it is a requirement of the organs at particular area, like a hand is amputated, anything other vital organ is replaced. So the regeneration of organ is also and transplantation is also a area which can be explored with the defense forces. It also includes the defensive genetically engineered biowarfare agent, of course, in case of the defense part, race specified bioffense weapons and defense. If you heard about the Vietnam War, there was a famous myth that the Vietnamese armies, during when the America had attack on the Vietnam during late 80s, I think. So during that time, it was a famous myth that Vietnamese are capable to train the insects and ticks in their forest, which are only targeting the American soldiers. So think about a future in which we can train the insects, ticks, and other kind of the rodents in the forest, which can only target a particular specific gene or particularly specific race. These all are the areas in which already the Pentagon, the DARPA is already working in these areas. And it's not a kind of, we can say that ये हमारे लिए एक आश्चर्य की बात नहीं होगी कि अगर ये चीज in future develop हो जाए. It also includes the generation of various organs such as bionic eyes, ear, nose, or even jaws in men also. In case of the war situation, in case of the direct fight with the enemies, several soldiers has lost their vital organs. So it, with the help of the with the modern biotechnology aspects and the bioengineering aspect, it is possible to develop the other organs such as bionic eyes and noses. So these all are the glimpse of the areas which can be explored when we want to serve our defense forces, being a pharmacy student or a person from the biotechnology or the life science background. So these are the few areas which I choose among them. So as I told you that genetically manipulated microorganisms, insects, etc., can be manipulated for attacking on materials and machines. Not only to the humans, we can make the genetically manipulated microorganisms which are capable to degrade the materials such as polythene. A lot of work is occurring on degrading these kind of the multipolymers, as well as the certain non-biodegradable agents. So these kind of genetically manipulated microorganisms can be developed. Food related issues, as I told you, edible textile and edible cutlery can be developed to strengthen the armed forces and to provide them the nutritious diet when there is a scarcity of the food. CVRN related issues, as I told you, with respect to the development of the formulations such as the decontamination formulation for the contamination of the chemical, biological, radiological contaminant. In the coming slides, I will broadly discuss this CVRN issue with you, as well as the development of the genome bank, that is the identification of the individual diseases, treatment of the various alignments, nanotechnology, nanorobots, drug delivery, and as well as the one of the most important part is the wound sealing. Nowadays, there is a lot of research is going on the wound healing. If we gone through the publication, we can find out a number of publication with respect to the wound healing. But there are the very less research is going on with respect to the wound sealants. Wound sealants which are capable to seal the arterial pressure and within the seconds of the attack. So this is the new area in which we can, on which collaboratively, being a pharma person, we can work with the defense forces in the development of the novel wound sealant with respect to the combat casualty wounds. So these are the specific area. Being a pharmaceutical student, we can help in the service of the soldiers. So imagine a future after 50 years. As we can see, a recent in COVID pandemic, a lot of the since 1998, H1N1 was there, then swine flu was there, then H5N1 was there, now SARS-CoV-2 is there. So there is a future, a crumbling world, which we can imagine in the future, where there is a lot of the population in the countries like India and China. And due to this higher population, there are the environmental catastrophes are there. There is a scarcity of food, water, air, energy. So there is a lot of crumbling issues has been seen. But imagine, with the help of a normal science and technology, a smart future in which we are capable to develop such smart steel materials, clothings. Within the seconds of the things, we can able to develop the low observable technology and its subdiscipline of military tactics and passive and active electronic countermeasures. Think about a future which covers a range of the methods to strengthen the our defense force, not only the defense forces but the life of the civilians with the previous chaos, which include the use to make personal aircraft, ships, submarines, missiles, satellites, and ground vehicles which are less visible, ideally invisible, to radar and infrared sonar, and such a steel system or other detection method. It also includes the advanced novel drug delivery systems. So within the seconds of the exposure, at least as far as the severe and contaminants are concerned, we are able to resuscitate the persons who get exposed with it, including their troops. It also includes the development of the artificial organs, better than the God given. Anyhow, it's extrapolatory. Never an organ is better than the God given, but we can able to develop an organ not 100% similar to the normal organ, but the organ which can ease in the life of the peoples when we comes in the future. So this is a world which can imagine, and by keeping these things in mind, we can develop the certain formulations and products which I'm going to discuss with you in the coming slides. So talking about the Indian defense sector today, as we know that the era of the late 80s and the entire 90s includes the development of the new drugs and pharmaceuticals. After when it comes about the 21st century, so there is lot of work is going on already pre-existing drugs. Here I want to take a concept of a famous drug which was developed by DRDO. It's 2-deoxy-D-glucose. Anyhow, I was not involved in its development, but my co-supervisor and my head of the department, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Sharma, was involved in its development, and I got an opportunity to work under his supervision at INMAS. And we had discussed about this drug 2DG. So basically the 2DG was developed during 80s, last 80s or 89. My supervisor was involved in the development of this drug, and particularly this particular 2-deoxy-D-glucose was developed for the against the carcinoma or the cancerous tissues. But when it comes about the COVID-19 situation, the same drug is capable to cope up with this COVID-19 virus, and it helps a lot of the patients which are on bed, and it increases the survivability rate of the bedridden patient. So here I am talking about the repurposing of drug. There are a lot of the options are available as far as the new drug candidates are available. I'm not denying to develop the new drug candidates, but when we gone through the pharmacopoeias or when we gone through the pharmacy literature, we can find out that there is a lot of the candidates are already existing, which are either end in the thesis, which are either end in the publications, and either they are end in the animal studies. No clinical trials were conducted. If we conduct those clinical trials, so we are capable to get the new drugs in a very less time to combat these kind of situation. The entire scenario of a drug development will take minimum to minimum 5 to 6 years if we want to develop a new drug, and this is very less. Sometimes it will take more than 10 years. So if suppose a pandemic like COVID is come, or if COVID had occurred, or if a pandemic in the future is occur, like apart than COVID, a much contagious disease occur, or any kind of severe and scenario occur, if we get an exposure from the radiological contaminants, all these things, so we already have a lot of the drug bank with us. So there is the most important thing, and the Indian defense sector is focusing this thing nowadays, is the repurposing of the drugs and pharmaceuticals already existing. And this whole concept of the in silico analysis, then in vitro to animal, and then clinical trial, we can remove this whole time taking process, and by repurposing of the drug, we can capable to develop, where we can capable to develop finished let me know on which slide previously it was stopped? What topic we are discussing previously?
Sir, repurposing of drugs.
Okay. After that, you didn't heard you now?
Yeah, after that we could not hear, Dr. Sahab. You had already explained 2DG and the repurposing of the drugs and then finding the candidates from the thesis and the various pharmacopoeias. All these concepts we
Okay.
have heard, sir. After that, sir.
Okay. So I will start it from core competence.
Okay, sir.
So when it comes, and Dr. Daya, this is my small request to you. Actually, there is some problem here in mass. I think some technical issue is there. So as far as my voice is not audible to you or any screen sharing was stopped, so just let me know at that point only, please.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure.
And I'm so sorry about it because
No
there is some
problem, sir.
technical issue here.
Yes, sir.
So
Glitches happen
I just want
nowadays.
to, yeah, I just want to continue about it. So when it comes about the core competence area, like which are the areas in which being a pharma expert, we can help the DRDO, which is a premier organization, which is working directly with the armed forces in our country. So these are the three core competent area in which we can work. The first one is the civilian defense. We can help the development, we can help in developing the formulations and decorporation agents with respect to the removal of the civilian agents such as dermal decontamination formulation or dermal decorporation agent formulations. Previously, there are the two formulations which are developed as a decorporation agent. That is the first one is the Persian blue oral formulation was developed to eliminate the cesium-137 from the body. And another one is cesium-137 strontium 90, and another one is the potassium iodate. These two oral formulation was developed with the help of the pharmaceutical sector by the DRDO, and as well as the dermal decontamination formulation such as the Ramacon and other universal decon devices. Apart than that of the civilian defense, the radiation mitigation countermeasures, this is also an area in which being a pharma expert, we can help with the, we can collaborate with the Defense Research and Development Organization. It includes the development of the radiation mitigators, the formulations which can be eat before, can be ingested by the soldiers before they are fighting or before they are combating or they are acting as a first responder in the areas where the radiological contamination scenarios occurred. It also includes the development of the advanced PET agents and advanced imaging agents to identify and target the diseases. So these are the 5 trust areas, and these only 5 trust areas which I can see that in coming 50 years, the DRDO and there is these 5 areas where a lot of demand by the defense forces, and they are having trouble and having a scarcity of the formulation. So the first one is the development of the CVRN and NVC therapeutics. That is the development of the oral pharmaceutical formulations which are capable to remove hazardous contaminants such as radiological contaminants such as cesium-137, strontium 90, cobalt, strontium 60, cobalt 90, as well as the radio protection, that is the oral pharmaceutical format or eliminate the internal radiological tablet as well as the activated carbon as well as the nuclear and non-invasive imaging, which I had developed discussed you previously. Combat casualty management, which includes the advanced wound healing and wound sealing formulations, and as well as the advanced wound sealants and the hemostats. So these are the 4 or 5 areas currently which can be collaborated with the pharma industries and with the pharmaceutical institutes by the Defense Research and Development Organization. So coming on the, now I am just going to come on the glimpse of imminent threats. That is, what kind of a future warfare is going to be happen. After the Kargil War of 1999, as I told you earlier, previously there was a conventional warfare was involved in which the tanks, missiles, advanced weaponry system was involved. But after the UN resolution of 1999, there are very less such kind of scenarios occur where the two forces are directly fighting. Recently, it was seen in case of the Azerbaijan and Armenia, and in case of Armenia, that they are fighting for a land there. But after that, there are very less incidents. There are very less scenarios where the direct fight was involved. And in those fights also, it includes the use of the CBRN agents. There was the cases in Kazakhstan area and in the Azerbaijan area where the enemies and the true terrorist organization are using these contaminants, that is CBRN agents, to strengthen to decline the power of the enemies, as well as the covert attacks or the overt attacks which we are occurring nowadays is basically focused on the use of the advanced unmanned air vehicles, such as is seen in the Pathankot case. There was a UAV, or we can say that a drone was there which dropped a bomb at a classified area or an Air Force station, in particular that Air Force station. But think about a scenario in which the terrorist organization do not use any kind of explosive to drop it on a particular surface. Instead of that, they can use the hazardous nuclear or chemical agent to contaminate a particular person. Think about a scenario. For an example, I just want to give you a glimpse. Think that if a BVIP was there, anyone in our country, either a chief minister of a state or either a prime minister, and if he was there in a public meeting, or he's having a meet with the other nation, with the delegates of the other nation, or he's going to have any foreign visit. So during that time, the food which is served to that protecting force which are involved in the protection of the VVIPs in our country, they are having the handheld devices with them to identify the chemical warfare agents or biological contaminants. And with the smell and the taste also, we can identify the biological or chemical contaminant in food and water. But what about the nuclear one? If you heard about the case of Yasser Arafat, a Palestine leader was there, and it was says that Israeli forces had used the cobalt 60 or polonium poisoning case was there, and they had used the polonium to contaminate or to poison the Yasser Arafat. And after the exposure of polonium, within the 40 or 50 days, he was dead. And there was a lot of debate was occurred in the UN, like these kind of agent has used by the Israel, and even though the Israel denied it, but later on the studies was conducted and the viscera of the late Yasser Arafat was taken out from his grave, and it was identified that they had used the polonium. Radiological contaminants are something which cannot be tested, which cannot be feel, and they are not visible. But anyhow, they can be detected with the radiation equipment, such as the handheld sodium iodide detectors and other detectors. But in case of there are the kind of three types of radiation, that is alpha, beta, and gamma. Beta radiation can be identified with the particularly with the instrument, but as far as the alpha radiation is concerned, and polonium comes under the alpha category. As far as the alpha radiation are concerned, it is very difficult to identify the alpha contaminants, and they are the most common poisonous agent which can be used to contaminate any kind of the persons of importance or very important persons. So these kind of we can say that a new kind of the warfare the defense forces was involved, and we have to develop the drug and pharmaceuticals to, as well as we have to develop the advanced sensing system to identify these kind of agents with the help of the biosensors and other things, as well as the advanced drug and pharmaceuticals to decorporate or remove these kind of contaminants from the human body. So coming on the CBRN prospects, what is all about the CBRN? So it is an acronym of the chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. When we talk about the chemical contaminants, it includes the toxic industrial chemicals, toxic lab chemicals, as well as the chemicals at major accident and hazardous unit sites. It also includes the chemical warfare agents such as the nerve agent and blister agents. And when we talk about the nerve agent and blister agents, the nerve agents are the substance which can cause directly hamper on our neurological system. And as I had discussed with you about the case of the Kim Jong-un at the Malaysia airport, they had used the agent VX. Previously, there was a cult in the Japan, Amsinko. They had used the nerve agent, that is agent VX, in a subway, and it will lead a lot of deaths inside that. So these kind of nerve agents, which are most similar to the pesticides, can be used to contaminate a civilian area or to kill a lot of the pupils who are working in that particular area. As far as the blister agent are concerned, it consists of the sulfur mustard. It is a common choking agent or blister agent. When it is just like the acids, that is sulfuric acid. When a person is get exposed to these acids or get inhaled these kind of the fumes of these acids, so there are the blisters occurred in his nasal tract, and it will lead to the choking and ultimately lead to the death to particular those individuals. Recently, there is a lot of, as far as the biological is concerned, there is a lot of the debate is occurred with respect to the COVID-19. Americans and other the World Health Organization, they kept China in a box as a suspect of the this particular the COVID this particular virus COVID as a point mutation was occurred, and they think that they can be they use this COVID-19 as a weapon of the mass destruction or as a biological warfare agent, and COVID is a agent of the, it is a part of the biological warfare agent, and they think about it, but there is a lot, but nothing comes concretely, and there is a lot of the debate in the journal community of the health in general health sector that it is a part of a biological warfare program which was later conducted by the China. Anything, there are a lot of the questions on that, and we can't say that whether it is a natural calamity or it is a part of the biological warfare program of the China. So in the form of the epidemics and pandemics also, these kind of biological hazardous agent can be disseminated. It also includes the biowarfare or liberation of the organisms leading to infectious diseases. It also includes the bioterrorism and agroterrorism. Recently you had heard about the that ticks attack. आपने भी टिड्डियों का एक अटैक सुना होगा जो इंडिया में हुआ था, and it was seen that कि ये टिड्डी जो थे वो particularly एक राजस्थान से पाकिस्तान से होते हुए राजस्थान की तरफ आए और इन्होंने क्रॉप्स को बहुत ज्यादा डिस्ट्रॉय किया. So it might be a part of the agroterrorism. It might be the part. So we have to keep ready our defense forces to combat these kind of agents, and only with the help of the health sector and with the help of the advanced pharmaceutical technique, we can treat the patients or we can treat the exposed victims with these kind of the agents. As far as the radiological and nuclear are concerned, in the radiological scenario, there are only two scenarios are most common. The first one is the use of the nuclear warfare agents or the weapons of the mass destruction. That is the nuclear bomb. Just it was observed in case of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the late 1942. Fat Boy and Little Baby, it was dropped at a particular area, and after the exposure of that individual at that particular area, they get exposed of it, and these kind of contaminants have permeated through their skin, comes in the bloodstream and targeted other organs inside the body. And in the long term also, it was observed that during this time, after the 75 or 80 years of the Hiroshima incidents, till now, there are the lot of the offsprings and the small babies are born there, which are having deformities with these of the hazardous radioactive teratogens. It also includes the use of the dirty worm. As I discussed with you, it is a kind of a small tiffin worm. आपने एक सुना होगा recently, there was a comedy अभी पाकिस्तान की तरफ से चली थी कि पाव पाव भर के बम की. There was a minister in the Pakistan who used this term पाव पाव भर के बम. Actually, I don't know कि how much he knows about the thing, but there are the chances that he was serious about the fact. जब हम छोटे बम्स की बात करते हैं, तो यहाँ पे आपका basically dirty bomb का scenario आता है, टिफिन बॉम्ब, एंड दे आर वेरी पोर्टेबल बॉम्ब, और उनको हम न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब इस तरीके से कह सकते हैं कि जैसा मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था, आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर, इट इंक्लूड्स अ स्मॉल एक्सप्लोसिव मटेरियल सच एज TNT along with the radiological contaminant, and when it explode at a localized area, so the incidence and the catastrophic effect after this incidence is not like a real nuclear bomb detonation, but the incidence which was occurred is a localized radiation contamination incidence. Of course, there was the death with the blast injuries, but the wounds which was created is also contaminated with the hazardous radiological agent. So this CBRN is a very big aspect, और इसमें कई सारी चीजें हैं. इसमें आपके इंडस्ट्रियल केमिकल्स भी हैं, इसमें आपके बायोलॉजिकल एजेंट्स भी हैं, इसमें आपके रेडियोलॉजिकल कंटामिनेंट्स भी हैं. सो इट इज अ बिग एस्पेक्ट, एंड बीइंग अ फार्मा एक्सपर्ट, being an expert in the biotechnology background, we have to be keep ready with respect to the drug and pharmaceutical sector. COVID-19 ने एक अहमियत बताई इस सेक्टर की, फार्मास्यूटिकल सेक्टर की कितनी ज्यादा है in combating these kind of pandemics. Either they are man-made or either they are natural. वो एक अलग डिबेट का एक टॉपिक हो सकता है, but anyhow, at any case, we have to keep ready our defense forces as well as the civilian population to combat these kind of CBRN scenarios. So coming on the nuclear blast scenario, first of all, I want to tell you like that how a nuclear blast scenario will cause the life threatening to the persons who are living at that particular area. Of course, after a nuclear detonation, the temperature of that particular area has reached such a higher level that the persons who comes direct close vicinity of that particular area, they can melt it down. जो लोग इससे एक्सपोज होते हैं एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया में, जो मकान बने हुए होते हैं, जो घर बने हुए होते हैं, वो डायरेक्टली मॉम की तरह ही मेल्ट हो जाते हैं at particular that point of time when a nuclear blast is occur. So that time we can't make anything to protect them. उस समय वो भगवान भरोसे ही हैं. But उसके बाद क्या? So if a nuclear blast or a nuclear detonation at a particular area is occur, and specifically I want to tell you that I am talking about the nuclear bomb, the weapon of mass destruction, the nuclear missiles, which are most of the countries in this world, around I think 10 to 20 nations are there which are having the nuclear capabilities with them. So I'm talking about that particular scenario. So please keep the scenario of dirty bomb one side apart from this. Here only I'm talking about the nuclear blast scenario. So after a nuclear blast, the localized the temperature of that
Dr. Navneet. Dr. Sharma, we are unable to hear you. Hello.
Yeah.
Hanji Doctor Sahab, हाँ, we were unable to hear you like for the last 1 minute or so.
So I think from here I have to continue, right? Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
Okay. So after a nuclear blast at a particular area, the temperature of that particular area reaches up to the 72 degrees centigrade. And after that particular high temperature of that particular area, the localized cloud was generated. After the 42 hours, that localized clouds, the rain was occurred, and with that rain, the contaminant, the long-lived radioisotopes such as cesium-137, strontium 90, cobalt 60, and other these kind of the nuclear contaminant, when they fall out on the surface, so that contaminated rain is known as black rain. And when these contaminants had drop on the skin, so they get permeate through the skin, and after the time duration they comes in the bloodstream and target the different organs inside the human body, such as the strontium 90 target the bones, the cesium 137 target the soft muscle tissues, as well as the iodine 131 target the thyroid gland. So when this contaminant comes inside the human body, and this so there was a very tricky part is to remove these contaminant from the skin, as well as to decorporate or to remove the internal contamination. So coming on the contamination, what is contamination? Contamination is any undesirable material present on the desirable surface. The process of the removal of this contamination from the human body, man, material, environment, or equipment, the process to removal of these contaminant is known as the decontamination. So as I told you, routes of the entry of these radioactive material when they falls over the skin is there are basic three routes are there: either ingestion, inhalation, or absorption. When these drop over the skin, they get permeate through the skin and comes in the bloodstream, and then it can distribute in entire body and target the different organs. As far as the ingestion is concerned, directly they can ingest it by intaking the contaminated water, or by intaking the contaminated food and other materials, and by inhalation if the contaminated air. So all these are the route of the entry of these radioactive material inside the body, and when these radioactive materials comes inside the body, they can target the different organs. So I had developed the two formulations to decontaminate these hazardous radiological contaminant. The first one is the Ramacon. It is a decontamination wipe that can be used against dermal, radiological, and nuclear contaminant. The advantages of the Ramacon decontamination wipe is that it enables almost complete and fast removal of radioisotopes from the body surfaces. It is applicable against a broad range of radio contaminants. When we talk about the broad range of radio contaminants, so it's just like a broad range of antibiotics. As far as the radio contaminants are concerned, there are total 108 contaminants are there which are identified the International Atomic Energy Agency, and these contaminants are most common after a nuclear scenario. So there is a requirement of a single formulation which is capable to chelate or to remove these radiological contaminant from the skin. So I developed this Ramacon Decon wipe, which is capable to remove almost around out of 108, almost around 40 contaminants from the skin. I tested these all contaminants, and it is a part of my PhD. So I developed this Ramacon wipe. Apart than that, I had developed a universal CBRN decontamination wipe, and I had given it as a name NavDecon. And with the help of the DRDO, I developed it, and it is in the final stage of indulging in with the army. And this universal CBRN decontamination wipe that can be used against dermal, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear contaminant. This single wipe, it is in the form of a mitten, capable for the complete and the fast removal of radioisotopes as well as the viruses, bacteria, fungi, along with the toxic industrial chemicals, chemical warfare agents. So these two formulations which I had developed for the removal of these radiological contaminants externally from the skin with the Defense Research and Development Organization in collaboration with the IIT Delhi. So this is a small glimpse of this universal CBRN decontamination wipe. How it works, as I told you, the single wipe is capable to remove the hazardous CBRN agents from the skin, and it is a lightweight, compact, portable, and one of the most important thing, it is the cost effective in nature. So this is the small information about the CBRN decontamination wipe. So now coming to strengthen the soldiers or universal soldier preparation for the future combat need. Think about aggressive biotechnology. We have worked a lot about the defensive biotechnology and defensive pharmaceutical technology. What about the aggressive biotechnology? Modern biotechnology has played an important role in treatment of war injuries, prevention and diagnosis of the diseases. When it comes about the protection against biochemical toxic agent, it will show the advantage in strengthening the power to fight, resist, fatigue, sense and monitor. Think about a customized soldier, think about a customized baby, which is capable to non-stop fight without having any fatigue and with the less sense and having the advanced technique to monitor the coming threat in the battlefield and develop, and it also includes the development of military biomaterials. We can use many modern biotechnological and pharmaceutical techniques as a means of defense and attack. And with further development, they probably will become new weapons of the system or the part of the 7th generation warfare. So, coming on the flight of nanotechnology, like how the nanotechnology and these advanced techniques can help us. So biological tag tracing, electromagnetic targeting, and nanometer biological technologies can help us in building highly military oriented biotechnologies. While it perhaps too early to decide, and we can say that what form modern biotechnological weapons might take. One thing is for sure that all such weapons require a military that focus on information more than on mechanization. It is an environment where information is processed. Think about the concept of a lab on chip. It includes the identification and the instant identification of the contaminant or the disease to combat with this disease and to remove this disease from the human beings. The potential research area, which includes the part of the nanotechnology, is the development of the lab on chip, the biosensors and other things, self-healing wounds and fast-acting broad spectrum antibiotics, and the nanobots. So coming on there is a very important part is there in the field of the proteomics in disease, and this particular part of the proteomics can help a lot in strengthening the defense forces and to strengthening the defense capability of the soldier. So proteomics is the large scale study of the structure and function of the proteins. It involves the rapid evolving of the disease proteomics, which aims to identify proteins involved in human disease and to understand how their expression like how their structure, expression, and function cause illness. So this concept of proteomics can help us a lot in the precision injury and aborting their specificity. Proteomics have greatly enriched bioinformation, and if we acquire a target genome, like if we target a genome, and if we want to enhance a proteomic information from this genome, it includes the ethnic groups or individuals, the identification of them. We could design a vulnerating agent that attacks only key enemies. We can develop the devices, or we can develop the vulnerable agents which can only affect the key enemies without doing any harm to the ordinary people. Like in a population of 100 pupils, if we want to identify a person with a particular trait with respect to its characters, with respect to its genetic formation, or with respect to the, think about a modern warfare in which a population was there. There is a person which is target, and with the help of his or her genetic material or with the genetic trait, we can capable to identify that particular person, ethnic group, or individual. We could design a vulnerating agent that attack only key enemies without doing any harm to ordinary people. And this can only be attained with the help of the modern knowledge of the proteomics and genomics. So there is need. We could also confine the attack to a more precise level. Injuries might be limited to a specific gene sequence or a specific protein structure. So with the help of the proteomics, being a pharma expert, we can help a lot to the defense forces to strengthen our defense forces. And as far as when we talk about the drugs and pharmaceuticals, we only speak about the defense with respect to the disease and targets. But what about the offense? When we talk about the offensive, and when we want to identify the particular person among the group of person, a particular person who is having his negative intentions with respect to the population, with respect to the country. So proteomics is an area which can explore a lot with the help of the nanotechnology to identify them. So coming on the next slide, that is the developing biologically inspired robot exhibiting greater robustness for performing in unstructured environment. Think like a scenario, as you had heard about that previously, the US forces had killed the al-Baghdadi. That is, there was a terrorist of the ISIS, and late 2020 and 2019, before this COVID pandemic, this Baghdadi pandemic was there. हम कह सकते हैं एक बगदादी नाम की एक बीमारी पूरे देश में, पूरी दुनिया में फैली हुई थी ISIS के थ्रू. एंड यूएस हैड चूज दिस टैक्टिक्स. दे हैड यूज द यूएवीज. उन्होंने एक टनल में उसको कन्फाइन किया. उस टनल में उसको कन्फाइन करने के बाद उन्होंने अनमैन्ड एयर व्हीकल का यूज किया, अनमैन्ड मशीन्स का यूज किया टू किल देम. सो हियर आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द रोबोटिक्स, nano robotic techniques and the new robotic techniques to target the enemies particularly. And it also includes the use of the nanobots in the drug delivery, organ repairs, cancer therapy, diagnosis and monitoring, artificial cells, red blood cells. ऐसी conditions जहां पर हम drugs and pharmaceuticals और दूसरी चीजें हम एक common population तक नहीं पहुंचा सकते हैं, उस जगह पर हम एडवांस रोबोटिक टेक्निक्स का यूज कर सकते हैं. फॉर एन एग्जांपल, अगर कोई सिनेरियो ओकर होता है, सीवियर सिनेरियो, इफ अ सिनेरियो occurred where the use of the severe agents are occurred, or if a nuclear small level of the nuclear dirty bomb attack scenario was occurred, so during that scenario, contamination is one of the biggest issue. As far as the chemical are concerned, you are capable to neutralize the chemical contaminant. Biological contaminant are concerned, you are capable to kill the virus, you are capable to kill the bacteria, you are capable to remove the toxins from the body. But as far as the radiological is concerned, as you heard about a famous dictum that energy can neither be created nor can be destroyed, although it can change from one form to another form. आप एनर्जी को कभी खत्म नहीं कर सकते. रेडिएशन के केस में ट्रिकी इसलिए होता है क्योंकि अगर एक जगह कंटामिनेशन हुआ तो उसको आप एक जगह से रिमूव करके दूसरी जगह तो रख सकते हैं, बट आप रेडिएशन को न्यूट्रलाइज नहीं कर सकते. एंड द डे ऑन विच वी आर कैपेबल टू डेवलप दिस रेडिएशन न्यूट्रलाइजेशन कैपेबिलिटीज, तो ऑन दैट डे जिसने भी इस टेक्निक को खोज लिया रेडिएशन को न्यूट्रलाइज करने का, उसको फिजिक्स का उसको नोबेल प्राइज जरूर मिलेगा. सो रेडिएशन इज समथिंग यू कांट रिमूव. सो इन दैट केस, अगर मान लीजिए इस तरह कुछ सिनेरियोज हो रहे हैं, तो कंटामिनेशन एक वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट इशू. और वहां पर आपके ये अनमैन्ड एयर व्हीकल्स हैं, यूएवीज हैं, या इसके अलावा आपके ये मशीन्स हैं, स्मॉल डिवाइसेस हैं, इनका आप यूज कर सकते हैं पेशेंट्स तक उनको लिफ्ट ऑफ करने के लिए या उन तक एक बेसिक रिहेबिलिटेशन इक्विपमेंट्स पहुंचाने के लिए. सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ दिस बायोलॉजिकल एंड मशीन इंटरफेस, वी कैन अचीव द targets which we require with respect to the biodefense or the civilian defense. So coming on the nano robotics, what is all about? So modern biotechnology Modern biotechnology make it possible to combine two or more pathogenic genes and place them inside a susceptible living body to create a multiple vulnerating effect. The nanorobotics is an advanced technique, and in this technique, the small nanobots can be created for the treatment of disease, targeted drug delivery to a particular organs, and to put the nanomaterials and the nanobots at a particular area where the blood circulation and other things can be hampered. So in addition, delaying the time required for a causative agent to take effect is possible by having a living body with a relatively longer incubation period or a pathogenic living body that produces no symptoms. So in that case, as the application of the viral vectors and the gene therapy also in this nanorobots can help a lot in the treatment and the subduing of the targeted drug delivery. This nanorobotics can also help in the sensors, imaging agent, tracking system, gathering informations at body, cellular, and subcellular level. And modern biotechnology reveals pathogenic of the product that can be to great harm to the people. High intensity ultraviolet rays and electromagnetic waves can induce genetically locus to the cell mutation. If we determine the relationship between the specific frequency and wavelength, अगर हम ये पता कर लें कि कौन सी frequency particular है और कौन सी wavelength particular है, so with the synchronization of that particular frequency and the wavelength, we are capable to specify the gene or the target or the locus on which we want to target our drug delivery, which can cause injury by remote radiation-induced genetic function changes, as well as in the covert operation, as well as in the overt operation. In both kind of operations, we can perform the military attack in which there might be a wound on enemy's gene, protein, cell, tissue, and organ, causing more damage than conventional weapons. So we can gene targeted attacks, and these gene targeted systems we can develop, which can damage the conventional, which can cause much more harm than the conventional weapons. And however, such devastating and non-lethal effects will require us to pacify the enemies through the post.
Excuse me, Dr. Sharma, we are not getting your voice. Dr. Sharma, we are not getting your sound.
ठीक है, आपके अगर कोई क्वेश्चन हो?
Are the other participants also able to hear what Dr. Navneet Sharma is saying from the other side on Zoom platform?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ramesh Reddy ji, bataiye, please.
So, sir, we have some questions like from one is from Dr. CB.
Mr. Ramesh Reddy wants to
Kerala.
ask a few questions.
Yeah, we shall ask one by one, sir, definitely. Dr. CB is asking from Kerala. Will you explain the prospects of pharmacy background research scholars to work as scientists in DRDO firms?
Yeah, actually, as far as the new scientists are concerned to work with the DRDO, so initially, just after completing their M Pharma, they can join the different life science labs of the DRDO for their PhD, and DRDO is having its own fellowships. That is, DRDO fellowships are there. And for that DRDO fellowship, first of all, the student has to qualify any national level of the exams, such as in our case, in case of pharmaceutical field, he has to qualify the graduate pharmacy aptitude test or any national eligibility test. So after crossing that particular test, they can sit in that interview, and they can clear that interview, and they can join the DRDO as a junior research fellow, senior research fellow, and after that they can inducted as a scientist there. There is till 2018 there was not a direct entry for the scientist in DRDO from the life science or pharmaceutical background directly as a scientist C, but nowadays they are indulging the pharmacy graduates as the scientist B, and after completing their initial PhD at the DRDO itself, they can directly internally recruited at the DRDO. So this is the aspect which can be seen by the pharma students.
Thank you, sir. Then we have another query from Dr. Ramesh Reddy. He
Yes.
is asking, can you elaborate on promoting performance of soldiers? Is it steroids, etc., or like any other agent which is responsible for their good performance?
No,
Or
no,
any,
it's
any
not.
promoting of performance?
Yeah. One thing I want to say that we have to think beyond the steroids, because steroid is something which cannot be tolerated by the human body, and steroids are having very much negative impact on the human body. So instead of talking about the giving the external anything like steroids, anything to perform the or to enhance the performance of the soldier, there are the certain other techniques are also available. In the Ayurveda also, there are certain herbal ingredients are there which can be taken as an immunity booster. Here, one thing I want to make it clear, when we talk about to increase the performance or the stamina of a particular soldier, so it includes the holistic effect, like the amalgamation of the yoga, and taking or intake of the immunoboosters such as honey and other immunoboosters are there. So it's a long process. It's not like that if a soldier is fighting in a field and he will take directly a steroid injection and then he can fight. So it's something which is beyond of it, and it is a particular kind of a training which will take around 10 to 15 years to strengthen since his when he was a baby, and from since he was a child or a graduate at the armed forces, and within the 2 or 3 years he will get involved himself in the different sessions of the yoga, in a different exercising technique, taking the intake, the immunoboosters and other thing. Of course, as far as the pharmaceuticals and the other kind of the formulation are concerned, we have to think beyond the steroids and other thing. We have to strengthen the soldier with respect to the advanced bioengineering instruments, with the advanced bionic equipment such as bionic eyes, which I had told you. During the night vision, we can use those kind of night vision cameras by which they can vision in the night also. And here I am talking about to strengthen the soldier apart than that of these kind of steroids and other things, with the help of the different bioengineering methods and other methods which are involved in Ayurveda and the in the herbal options.
Right. Thank you, sir. And then Dr. CB is having another part of his question. Like he is asking, like there are any chances of collaborative research, maybe in the field of memory enhancement for soldiers?
Yeah, definitely. There was an institute. He wants to write it down to the director. So DEPAS is there, Defense Institute of Physiological Sciences and Research. DEPAS, there is a separate institute was there, which is directly involved in the development of the these kind of the drugs and pharmaceutical, which will enhance the particularly in the field of the neurobehavior and the neurology, they are involved. So they can consult to they can drop a mail to the director DEPAS, and if they gone through the website of the DEPAS, they can find out the potential areas in which they can work it out. So particularly DEPAS is the institute, TIPAS, Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences, DEPAS. So there they can collaborate with this.
Right, sir. And then we have another query from Dr. Nilima from Punjab University.
Yes.
Sir quoted endocrine radio products as one of the thirst areas. So they
Hmm.
all are steroids in nature?
Yeah, but madam, here I am talking about these endocrine. See, it's the endocrine products and the imaging agents. These two kind of things are there. So this is particularly respect to the imaging techniques. When we talk about the advanced PET imaging techniques and other techniques, there they can use the steroid, but not to increase the stamina and the performance of these soldiers. Of course, steroids are the part of the, in case of the COVID also, ये देखा गया कि steroids दिए गए COVID में भी, they are the part of the regime of the therapeutics. So we can't deny the steroids. But as far as the imaging is concerned, they are using these kind of endocrinology and other things to identify the new imaging agents and the PET and all. बिकॉज मेरा ही पर्टिकुलरली फील्ड नहीं है इमेजिन और एंडोक्राइनोलॉजी, बट ये एरिया है जिसके बारे में मैंने आपसे डिस्कस किया है. If you want to go more further inside of it, you can drop a mail to the director in mass Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Light Sciences. और आपका जो ब्रोशर है इस कॉन्फ्रेंस का, उसकी स्टार्टिंग में डॉक्टर अनिल कुमार मिश्रा थे. He is the expert in particularly in this field of endocrinology and the immunology and the imaging. So you can drop him a mail and आपको उसमें और ज्यादा collaboration आप कैसे कैसे कर सकते हैं, कहाँ उसका आपको ऑप्शन मिलेगा.
Right, sir. And then we have a comment from Dr. Ramesh Reddy. Like he
Yes.
has requested that if Dr. Navneet Sharma can be requested on behalf of participants for sharing the slides, like there was some interruption and all. So he has requested this thing.
Yeah, definitely I will share, और मैं आपके साथ share करूंगा ये slide. Through mail I will send you, then you can distribute it to the other peoples.
Thank you,
Those
sir.
who are
Thank you
interested.
so much for helping the learning process.
And I am also sorry about it because I don't know what happened here, because आज सुबह से ही मैं ऑफिस में हूँ और ये इंटरनेट का कुछ कनेक्टिविटी का इशू आया. बट एनी हाउ मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जितना मैं डिलीवर करना चाहता था, जो क्वेश्चंस आपके आए हैं, I was successful in delivering that.
Definitely, sir. You have done justice with the topic and with your talk. And technical glitches are not in our hands, not in your hands. So they are always there to happen.
हाँ, मतलब because of the pandemic itself.
Right.
Yeah, please.
So, sir, for wrapping up the this particular lecture, I would say that you have taken us through like the various facets of in your talk. You have talked about deoxy D-glucose, which was earlier used in carcinoma in your scientists lab, and later on their research group found that it can be effective against COVID-19 as well for increasing the survival. And that is where you talked about the repurposing of the drugs, which is definitely of great interest for all the pharmacists, for all the scientists, academicians available here, sir. And then also you explained so well the radiation countermeasures and the CBRN defense, where the scientists from the pharmaceutical field, they can give their inputs, they can do their research work and academic work on those areas. And also we were able to grasp the imminent threats and finding out where our role could be, where we can fit into those imminent threats post UN resolution 1999, which you talked about, after which there is no direct fight between the armies, but instead there are other different threats which may be invisible, maybe in the form of chemical or biological warfare. And also I would like to add here that the pharmacists also are like frontline warriors, sir, because instead of our like army is because visible there, but behind the scene our pharmacists are also working to support them, to support the all the paramilitary army and even the civilian population also. And also I believe that most of the participants, they must have liked your work on chelation and with which you were able to develop the universal wipes or the wiping solutions with which you were able to disinfect the surfaces or disinfect the places where there were spillover of contaminants. And definitely the last part which we have missed was like the biologically inspired robots and nano robots.
Bionic, and I think those things
those things actually we missed. So we were also very excited, all of us, to hear to you, but never mind. In the next FDP we shall definitely once again be inviting you, and we would love to hear from you, sir.
Definitely, it's also a privilege for me. And one thing I want to say that कि अभी दुनिया की एक सोच बदली है with respect to the pharmaceutical background, with respect to the frontline workers, soldiers. As you told Dr. Dahiya, कि like we are just since past 2 years, मतलब हम लोग एक frontline workers और warriors के तरीके से ही work कर रहे हैं, और हमने कई सारे अपने साथियों को भी खोया इस पेंडेमिक में, और बेसिकली बिकॉज दे आर द फ्रंटलाइन वर्कर्स एंड दे आर जस्ट एक्टिंग लाइक अ सोल्जर्स. सो मतलब मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि वी कीप अ प्राइड इन अवर प्रोफेशन. जो हम लोग हैं बड़ी मेहनत से हैं, और आगे भी हम बहुत अच्छा कर सकते हैं इस फील्ड में. सो कीप अप. मैं ये यंग ग्राड्स जो भी मेरे को सुन रहा होगा, अभी जो नए स्टूडेंट्स होंगे, कि आप हमेशा याद रखिए कि आप बहुत अच्छी फील्ड में हैं. वी आर द मास्टर ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड्स. सो आपको इसमें अपने आप को रखना है और फोकस करना है कि हम किन नए चीजों को एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं. देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टू बी डू. So thank you, thanks a lot.
Definitely, sir. And due to COVID-19 precautions and guidelines in place, like we could not exchange any mementos. So we have developed one digital certificate for you. Harsh, can we display for sir? So I asked Dr. DP Pathak sir also to kindly join me in facilitating you this certificate.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you for so much for spending your time with us. Thanks.
Thank you.
So now we shall be having a tea break of about 10 minutes, after which Dr. Kalai Selvan from Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission shall be joining us. So let's break here for tea for 10 minutes. Thank you.